difficult first question. Could you please introduce yourself and give us a quick rundown of how Telling Secrets came to be?
So my name is Vic. I am telling secrets. I started the project or the band in Manchester, in England, and it came to be because I was just recording songs at home by myself. I was writing lyrics. I was recording, demo vocal takes, but I couldn't find anyone to sing the songs. So
Yeah.
I noticed that I was doing a lot of guitar covers at the time for my YouTube channel. And I started following this band called Rain City Drive, who had a different name at the time, but I covered their whole album on guitar. The band started reposting my stories. So I started following the members, and I saw that their singer, Matt, offered singing lessons through Skype or Zoom. So I basically just booked the session in with him. It was, at the height of COVID lockdown, nothing was happening. So everybody was online. I booked the session with him and I just asked, can you listen to these songs? Can you listen to what I sound like? Is this something worth pursuing for me? Or should I just give up and just focus on the guitar playing and just carry on looking for someone else? And then, yeah, then, here we are. We've That's it.
Yeah. So you're originally from the UK, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of.
I'm Hungarian. I was born in Budapest. My whole family's from Hungary, but yeah, I grew up in England in the south. So,
Which places in the UK did you enjoy living in the most?
um, I spent most recently I was in Manchester, which was great because I like the football, Man United. I absolutely love that. Um, But I think Surrey was really nice as well. It's like a county, it's rural, suburban kind of thing. And that's nice, great fresh air, good hikes, good countryside life. So it's a bit slower than, all the other places I've ever been in.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely probably slower than LA.
Yeah. Yeah. But LA, LA, that's it's still pretty chilled out, I would say, for compared to some places. So,
I wonder if there's really bad LA traffic. How bad is the traffic in like the UK?
well, I think I'd probably say it's still worse in LA when it's rush hour.
Hmm.
But I think on a daily basis, I think the UK traffic's pretty bad as well, just because there's smaller roads and less
Hmm.
lanes,
Yeah.
so there's less space, but yeah, there's more buses and all that. So if you don't want to drive, you don't have to.
Now, the real question here is between Hungarian, and then within the UK and the US, who's got the better food?
Oh, see, because there's like particular dishes from each cuisine that just like so like from the UK, I think I personally don't like fish and chips, which is a big favorite, but the full English breakfast is amazing. In in Hungary, we have the goulash, the soup. That's lovely, with dumplings and things like that. And then over here, if we're saying steaks, burgers, hot dog, corn dogs, I like corn dogs. There's no corn dogs in England. That's I think just for the variety, we'll go with America. But I think in terms of, if I could only eat one for the rest of my life, I would pick Hungarian food.
Ah. So what exactly is an English breakfast?
A full English breakfast is you've never had it's like it's like a couple of fried eggs, bacon, which is a different kind of bacon to American bacon because here I noticed it's streaky bacon, but in the UK it's like back bacon, so it's just like mainly meat um as opposed to meat and fat. But yeah, so fried eggs, sausages, bacon, cooked tomatoes. baked beans, and then piece of toast with some butter, and then also, if you can find it, black pudding and mushrooms. Black pudding is like it's like a kind of like a dried blood sausage, and it sounds gross, but I like it. But I
You
I
grew
was
up on it though.
yeah, exactly. I was exposed to it at a young age, so
Is
yeah.
Yorkshire pudding ever part of that breakfast?
Yeah, I think that's like for like a roast dinner. Like, if you have like a chicken, like a roast chicken dinner, you have that with some gravy and some roast potatoes. That's really nice
Hmm.
as well. It's not like the breakfast thing, but that's definitely a super, super British thing. I think the full English and the roast dinner are the two most like, British things you could eat, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've made two British or properly British dishes or food in my life. I've made Yorkshire pudding, which big no anyway. And then treacle tart. I've made treacle tart a
Oh
couple
wow.
times.
All
So
right.
that's about it though. Um
I love that
I
we're
like
just talking about food.
listen, I could this whole podcast could be about food.
I mean,
Um
I think it's funny that out of all the things to talk about the UK, it's the food that we've landed on, because they're like, people are notoriously avoid English food or just say that it's not great. But yeah,
Well, I mean, there's a lot less preservatives and stuff over there.
yeah, that's true. I've also been thinking about that. But it's that's why I said I think Hungarian food is what I would eat if I had to choose one, because I think that's even more just like, natural. So
Yeah.
yeah.
so to shift it about back into being about music here, do you ever find anything either Hungarian or British as far as music elements that find their way into your writing?
Yeah, I haven't been able to execute anything Hungarian like how I wanted to. But um for I have a song called They Say Bliss is Oblivion, and the bridge section has like a Latin chorus thing, and it just basically says oblivion over and over again, but in Latin. And the original idea that I had for it is that I would have some like Hungarian spoken word stuff to make it really spooky. But I tried it, and then I tried the Latin thing, and the Latin thing sounded better. So I'm still working on trying to get the Hungarian in there. But yeah, I think there's like some traditional like, Hungarian dance music that uses violins that would be interesting to, put into that type of music. It kind of would be like, I can't remember what it was, but there's that video going around of some hardcore band that had like a flute in their breakdown, and that sounded really cool. So it would probably be along that vein. But I think the UK stuff is probably a bit more prominent. Again, I don't know if I have anything out right now. There's something I've just finished working on that definitely has some you know, Prodigy style, stuff, some drum and bass, and then also some just like straight up like, indie
Yeah.
indie stuff. I don't know. It's getting to the point now where I'm like, deliberately listening to other things to see what can I, take and, work into this to make it different or interesting or
Hmm.
just, just good. So yeah, I'm working on it. The UK, I've had slightly more success with taking things from, UK genres, mainly indie and drum and bass.
Yeah, I've come across a few bands that add in a different language just in like a certain verse. And
Yeah.
I find it very interesting just to hear a different language sang. But I mean,
Yeah.
it depends on the language because not all languages sound good when you sing them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I have absolutely no idea. I can't speak Spanish, but if there's like, Spanish in the song, then I'm like, oh yeah, it sounds good. I have no idea what's being said, but I like it. And there's I think there's like some Italian rappers as well that sound cool. again, I can't say anything. I can say probably one swear word in Italian,
Yeah.
and that's it. And and uh and yeah, so but yeah, I think I don't know how Hungarian would sound. I would
Yeah,
have to, you know.
you said you wanted to use Hungarian to make it sound spooky though.
Yeah, I was so I mean, I was trying to recite, like a prayer, like like a religious prayer, and I did it and it sounded cool. But then I tried the Oblivio thing and I was like, oh, this, that's the one. So I actually haven't tried to sing in Hungarian. I just tried to,
Talk,
yeah,
speak.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was gonna say I could put you on the spot and be like, you want to show us?
Well, I can speak in Hungarian from now on if you guys put some subtitles.
No, I don't think that would work for us. We wouldn't understand a word you were saying. But yeah, that would be interesting though. I'd be curious to see if you can pull it off and make it happen.
Yeah, I just have to.
You just got to
I
try
think,
and sing it.
yeah, I would have to study some Hungarian songs a little bit because it's writing songs and like trying to think of it's one thing knowing, like, being able to speak the language, but being able to then quickly jump to conform to like a rhyme scheme, things like that. That's
Hmm.
something that I'd have to think about and practice because I haven't lived there in a while, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So you are a solo artist. Now, do you have any plans on adding band members and creating a full band?
We have we have a lineup which is pretty solid at the moment. I quite like it that it's just me doing everything, because I think there's so many different things that need to be done. And to be honest, unless you find a group of people who are just as obsessed and insane as you are about what it is that you're doing, it's difficult to find that, um, not harmony, but as close to that as you can get so that the whole thing ticks and works as it needs to. But, I've been very clear with everyone with what I see. This is the ship. I'm steering the ship. I would love to have, you guys on board, but this is how it's going to be. And I think it's important to be honest and direct and transparent. I think it shows respect, but I think, at this stage, this is how I'd like it to be. And I think a lot of artists are, functioning like that. Like Ice Nine Kills is like that. Obviously, Falling in Reverse is like that. There's other bands who have, like, you know, ended up being like that. But
Yeah.
I guess it's just kind of down to who's around you and what situation you find yourself in, I suppose. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could see it like you got to actually get along with people enough. It's kind of almost like you're trying out band members and maybe someday they'll be full members. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, we had we did some 4th of July stuff recently, and we've been hanging out and everything, and I've been in bands where, like, that hasn't happened. It's just, so it just kind of feels weird. But it you do have to hope and pray, or be thankful for, like, the chemistry that you guys do have, even in a non-music based setting.
Yeah.
So
Jess, do we have chemistry in a non-music based setting?
I feel like we do. I don't know. We banter and bicker like brother and sister
We
sometimes.
do.
there you go.
So I do want to mention the entire album of Telling Secrets 1 actually really hit hard for me. I enjoyed Tired of Waiting and Case Closed. Those two especially stood out for me. Do you have a personal favorite of yours from that album?
Yeah, I think Tired of Waiting as well. That's probably mine. Just because, like, when I remember when I was doing that song, I had the instrumental, and the working title for the project was literally boring. Like I didn't like it at the time when it was just, you know, when it didn't have any vocals. And then I'm glad it turned out the way it did, because it's probably, yeah, it's probably my favorite in terms of just like a song. And yeah, but you know, everything, there's just like moments in every, it's, you know, it's like people always say this thing, it's like picking a child or something. It's, yeah, it's like each song has a little moment that you're like, oh, I like this one because like of this little thing, or like I like this one because of that little thing. And yeah, it's actually quite interesting, good that you picked that Case Closed as well, because, or maybe it was Tired of Waiting, or maybe it's both of them, I don't know. But when I showed it to the guitarist Alessio, he was like, oh yeah, this is a really cool 3 against 4 beat you have going on here. And I'm like, huh? You know, like what? And I think it's actually in both songs. So yeah, those two have got a good, you know, they're quite popular ones. I like Nosedive as well, but I would say those three probably in that order. Tired of
Yeah.
Waiting, Case, Nosedive for me.
I liked Tired of Waiting as well, but I also liked Bad Dreams and then Wake Up Full Moon.
Yeah. Ugh, man, I'm glad you said Wake Up Full Moon, because that was a huge pain in my backside at the time. That was so the whole thing for that used to be called pizza. So I was, you know, I was up late at night, and I think I must have been having some sort of writer's block or something, because I feel like I was hammering away at ideas for hours and just nothing was sticking. And I don't really like to do that. But um I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna order dinner, I'm gonna order a pizza. If by the time the pizza arrives, I have like a beginning of an idea that I think I like and I can, you know, work into a song, I'll keep it. And then if I don't, I'll delete it. And then so I, you know, had the beginning riff, I think, a general idea of the song. And so I did keep it, but I ended up coming up with probably about 8 or 9 different versions of the chorus. And I kept showing it to Matt, because I just couldn't figure out like what was like wrong with it. And yeah, so that was just when, you know, when that got recorded for the last time, because I had to record that one many times. When that one was done and dusted, I was probably the most relieved person on the planet for about, you know, for a couple of minutes, because I was just so over that song. But I'm glad you like it. So
Yeah. One of my
yeah.
favorite older songs is Casting Stones.
Oh yeah, that's people have been people have been I think yeah, some people, some of my friends were saying that they would have wanted to like hear that, or you know, have that in the album, but maybe one day it will come back. But yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
And you mentioned people kind of pull bits and pieces from songs, and maybe that's why they identify that they enjoy that particular song. But
Mhm.
in general, the bits and pieces I pull from this whole album is it kind of has like a, a a compilation of like nostalgic sound at the same time. Like when I was listening to it, I was almost pulled back to, standing out there on a hot summer day at Warp Tour. And, you may as well have just been right up there playing with everybody else. Like it really kind of pulled me back in to that frame of mind. Was that something that you had in mind while writing this album?
No, I never got the fortune of going to Warp Tour because it didn't exist. And then by the time I got to, you know, that stage, it you know, it's not a thing. So I don't know. I think probably around 2011, I was really getting in. You know, I watched like every Warped Tour video possible, particularly Escape the Fate, Falling in Reverse, Black Veil. You know, all those kind of. I watched every single video, and I used to go to sleep listening to, you know, all these albums on full blast. So I have tinnitus from, I think, listening to these albums too loud, trying to, falling asleep to like, I know it's not Warped Tour, but like, Bullet for My Valentine full volume, Black Veil Brides full volume. It was just like all this stuff. And I think by accident, it's like sort of become ingrained in me, because even if I'm trying to not do something that's nostalgic or has that like the essence of that time, every single time I show something to someone, they're like, oh yeah, it has that vibe. And I'm just like, I'm like, great. It's not what I was going for, but it seems like I've reached this level where it's like impossible for me not to have that transpire in one way or another. So, but yeah, if in another life it would have been amazing to be a part of that, at the time. But, maybe someone can buy Warped Tour and we can make it happen.
I've been
Reignite.
saying it for years. I mean, I went to 16 years of Warped Tour. So
Wow.
I had a lot of years of Warped Tour.
Yeah.
And I miss it a lot.
maybe you could have lent me a couple. But yeah.
I mean, I could talk about Warped Tour forever. Chris and I have stories.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, isn't it? Like, because it goes around the whole, like, the country, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's why Sad Summer Fest was created to fill that void. The guys in Mayday Parade kind of wanted to fill that void of that summer festival that went around the country, and they, at least that's what the story is that they put out there. So
I think that's
Yeah.
also why like Hawthorne Heights started doing Ohio is for Lovers
Yeah.
Fest. Like they were doing different ones in different states to kind of bring back that nostalgia. It's not exactly like Warped Tour because it's not like 50 or more bands playing in one day,
Yeah.
but it still gives you that feel because it's still a small little festival.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I suppose if it came back, would it be as good as what people remember it to be? Like, maybe. Is it feasible? I don't know. But, I don't know. Maybe there's a thought that it's nice to, leave it as a memory that people are fond of than, bringing it back and like ruining it somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just,
I feel like Kevin Lyman would probably say yes to someone starting it back up, but it'd probably have to be the right person because I don't think he'd want to like have his potential name on anything that would have a disaster
yeah,
of like a tour happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So your bio on your website says that Zeppelin IV was the first album you couldn't put down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, is that still your favorite Zeppelin album?
Yeah, because I'll tell you why. I'm so glad you asked this. Literally a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, there's a shop called the Record Parlor, which is a record shop, and I've made friends with the the group there, the people that the shop owners and everything. Very nice man called Brad is usually the guy behind the counter. I go in there, he gives me some words of wisdom just about concerts and things like that. And the last few times I went in there, I've been looking for Led Zeppelin IV. I couldn't find it. And then one day they closed, but we were just talking after hours. And I just said, like, Brad, like, if you ever come across if a Led Zeppelin 4 comes in, can you save it for me? And he goes like, Led Zeppelin 4? Hold on. And he just opened the first box he sees. He goes through it, and in about 4 seconds, here you go, Led Zeppelin 4. And he's still looking. He gives me another one, still looking, gives me another one, still looking, gives me, so I'm just like, okay, I'll take the first one. We've got it now, thank you. So I bought it. Yes, it's still my favorite. The reason I couldn't put it down is because when I was younger, my mum had the CD, and I found it because I was just going through CDs looking at the pictures. And and it was weird because there's nothing on it. It's just the man with the sticks. So I was like, what's this? And then I asked her to play it. We listened to it. The weird like reverse thing happens. And then you have Robert Plant, and then the guitar comes in. I was just like, it was like some people have a light bulb moment. I think I had like a mental explosion moment. I was just like, Cool. So yeah, it's still my favorite. I think, yeah, it's just the best.
See, I had that connection, but with Zeppelin too.
Mm,
Uh, just like, it starts off strong with Whole Lot of Love, and
yeah.
that opening riff just hit me, and that's still my favorite Zeppelin album. But
It's funny you said that because the guy that owns the place said the same thing. I think he said that Zeppelin 2 was his favorite. So I think they're probably the two most popular ones. But I guess it's just I think for me it's like whatever comes first just generally sticks with me. So yeah, that's the one.
I think that's a true statement about a lot of things, because they also say that's kind of like how your favorite actor who plays James Bond works.
Mm,
Your favorite Bond is the one you grew up on.
hmm. Yeah, it is.
Um,
Yeah.
so did just curious, did the uh Zeppelin discography numbering system kind of influence your Telling
Yeah.
Secrets one?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've been I've been talking to this guy called Todd about just about the releases, the songs and everything. And yeah, we were thinking about an album name, and I don't know, I chose that for two reasons. One was the Led Zeppelin thing, and two is because I absolutely love Star Wars. So, I've always liked the Roman numerals, and growing up in Europe, I've been to Italy and Greece and all that. So I've seen a lot of like Roman things. I just always thought it was really cool, the letters. So yeah, we'll see if we can get up to album 10 with the X. Hope definitely at least aiming for a 4 or a 5 to get a V in there. But yeah, those are the two main reasons. And also just, I maybe inadvertently I accidentally made it more confusing, but I thought it would be less confusing than having like, the album being called Tired of Waiting or something. But that would have been cool too. I don't know. Maybe album 4 will be untitled as well, and then it will just be presumed as album 4.
Maybe. Only time will tell, right?
Yeah.
So just because you showed the little Star Wars figures, um, I have this figure. It's not Star Wars, but it's been sitting here. It's a bobblehead. Have you ever heard or watched the show Mythbusters?
It rings a bell, but I don't think I
So
ever.
they used to do science stuff, and they would test like urban legends and that kind of stuff scientifically. And I had a bobblehead of one of the figures that my dog knocked over, and the bobblehead of one of the characters has been decapitated and sitting on my desk for a long time. Seeing them just reminded me to like pick it up now. No. But circling back to your bio, it said a few years later, after discovering Zeppelin IV, you pick up Dying is Your Latest Fashion by Escape the Fate. How does this change your musical perspective?
So that is a very when I think Dying is Your Late. So at the time I was, big on Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, AC/DC. I was playing guitar. There was nothing else in the world for me. Everything else was inferior. Iron Maiden as well, amazing. And then my friend showed me the music video for Situations. And um, I don't want to repeat exactly what I said at the time, but I was just like, what is this rubbish? Like they're like shouting, like weird. There's no guitar solo. There kind of is a guitar solo, but not really. I was like, I hated it. And then I watched it, 2, 3, 4 more times. And I was like, wow, this is really good. And these guys are like the new, like, like they look like rock stars. The music is, awesome. they also like Iron Maiden, because I think one of the guys is wearing an Iron Maiden shirt, and I was like, okay, I'll find this album and listen to it. And then yeah, I must have listened to it on YouTube, but it just blew me away, man. Like, and I think now, you know, a lot of people, you know, if you go into the comments section of like emo albums of, you know, the years, a lot of people will say that, like, you know, that's the masterpiece. And like, I certainly think so. And you know, it's cool because I've not made friends, but you know, I know Max Green now. You know, he kind of knows me. You know, we follow each other on Instagram and stuff. And it was actually really cool because when I posted the Case Closed music video, you know, whenever it came out, he like, you know, he liked it and everything. So it was a nice moment for me. You know, I was just in Target, just like shopping around, but I saw it and it was a nice moment because, you know, their first album just was left such a huge mark on me. And I was just like, damn, dude, this, you know, he's I don't know if he's listening, but he's at least seeing, you know, something. So that was cool. But yeah, I hated it at first, and then I just, you know, couldn't put it down, and still can't. I still, you know, I still listen to it very often. My Apocalypse is my favorite song off the album.
I was about
It's
to ask, what's your favorite? Mine's the Guillotine. I For some
that
reason, Guillotine and There's No Sympathy for the Dead.
honestly, like you know, they what's there's another song of the EP that came out before the album, which I actually don't know if it's even on, is it on Spotify? It might not be. I've got the CD at home, but I think there's a song on there called The Ransom or something. That's really good too.
I
It's
think I
really, really
recognize all these songs. I wasn't a huge Escape the Fate fan. My husband, he was a
mm.
big Escape the Fate fan, but he would know a little more than I would. But I mean, I've listened to them and I know the songs you're talking about because
What's
they're
Yeah.
popular songs.
what's
Yeah, yeah,
funny
Because
is
that
like
record was popular.
like everyone references situations, and I never liked that song.
Yeah, I don't think I would pick that song as a favorite.
yeah. I think it's just probably the video, because I think that one had they probably pushed that video the most. You know, it was like school themed. Obviously it had other themes as well, but you know, I just think that one was probably and then the other one was not good enough for the truth cliche. That video was, you know, really maybe those two songs are the only songs that even had videos. I can't remember. But yeah, yeah, that's what that it's literally, you know, my friend who showed me that album, it's his fault that this whole thing happened.
It
So
I
is
mean,
funny.
thanks.
It is funny that you hated them, but now you like love them.
Yeah.
Because there's like, I used to not really care for like the band Something Corporate back in the day when they were first really big and everything. But then as soon as like Jack's Mannequin came out and stuff, then all of a sudden I started listening to Something Corporate again. And I was like, oh, I actually really like this. And they grew
Yeah.
on me. So, I mean, I feel like we all kind of have a band like that potentially. Like, Chris, what would your band be that grew on you that you didn't
as I
like right
lay,
away?
I there was a bunch, but As I Lay Dying is what got me into heavier music because my friend left his CD in my car. And at first I'm like, this is garbage. And then I put it in the CD player a couple times and I'm like, okay, this is all right.
You're starting to get it.
Um, yeah, but like then like getting into like the hardcore scene, like it took me a long time to like Comeback Kid. And then it took me a long time to like Every Time I Die, who ended up becoming my favorite band. So it's like sometimes it takes a while for things to wear on me,
It
but
does. I can mention Story of the Year to Chris. Like their second album in Wake and Determination, I was all like, what is this garbage when it first came out? Because it was way heavier than Page Avenue. And then I was like, and then I started to love it. And I still love it. So I love everything Story of the Year.
Yeah, you know, I even recently, I even listen to music and bands that I know I don't like because um I want to see why people like them. So like for me personally, you know, Knocked Loose, you know, I wouldn't go for it, but I did, I listened to the album a few times because I want to try and get, try and understand like what is the thing that gripped so many or grasped so many people's attention. Poppy is another one.
Do you,
Um,
when you do that, do you have any success in finding that piece that people are attracted to in that artist?
I mean, I don't know, but like there's definitely been instances, especially recently, where like, I listen to I've done that and I've either accidentally ended up liking something from the artist or I've tried to interpret it in my way. And like the other day or month now, I was driving past the Palladium, Hollywood Palladium, and there was a huge line outside for doors, and everyone was wearing masks, and it was for Slaughter to Prevail. So I was like, wow, I knew that, I knew that they were like getting popular because I don't, they're don't know, they're just very in your face with the whole marketing, and people are kind of, grasping onto them similar to Knock Loose, Bad Omen, Sleep Token. It's like kind of like a hype right now. So I was like, okay, I'll have a listen. I'll dive deeper than what I've dived, than where I've been to before. And then yeah, I borrowed some things, let's say, tried to rehash some things. And so I think I kind of yeah, can understand sometimes, but other times I'm just like, you know but that's fine. That's that's what it is. That's what music is,
Yeah,
like
We
there's a few bands I just don't understand why people like them.
yeah.
we are on in our early days, we decided to do an episode where we would go back and listen to bands that we didn't previously like and have purposely avoided.
Yeah.
And so we're like, hey, we'll each pick three. We're gonna give them a listen. Maybe things have changed. Maybe we'll like them. It didn't go that well.
No, we still don't like them.
Yeah.
except I learned that I like oh
He
gosh,
likes
what is it?
newer Coheed.
I like new Coheed, but not the old stuff.
Interesting. Yeah. I'll have to try that at some point as well. I think, yeah, I we could go on all day.
I know, right? We could go on all day.
Architects are a band that, I never like previously was that crazy about. But I think I can, get into the more like newer things, like since that album with the Spaceman and the Church, since that, since it's less like just like crazy, I could understand it a bit more. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. So getting back to your music, I heard that you find inspiration sometimes for your lyrics from movies.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the oddest lyrics you've pulled from a movie?
Um, I don't I mean, I don't think I've ever really, I can't remember if I may have taken something from like The Dark Knight, but I can't remember what. But with films, I think they a good example is the best example is, Wake Up Full Moon, because that whole idea was based off of Prisoner of Azkaban. And originally, it was based off like the night scene with Sirius Black and
Hmm.
Lupin, werewolf, and, all that stuff. But so originally the lyric was, I think it was like, wake up, because the werewolf's coming, hide from the full moon. So that's why it's full moon, because it's like werewolves and full moon. But then Popular Monster happened. The motionless in white thing happened, like werewolf. And I was like, I don't like that. I'm not, I'm not like, I think it's one thing to be like, influenced and everything, but it was too close. So part of the reason why that song got rewritten so many times is because I was trying to figure out what to do, because by that time, you know, we'd already booked the music video for it. We'd already made plans. We already had a treatment. And so I was having to alter the lyric and the music video at the same time so that it would like sort of, you know, make sense. So then that's why, you know, there's like full moon there. There's like the idea of the transformation. And so instead of turning into a werewolf, the assassin thing happened, and I just went along with midnight because it was still like on topic. But yeah, the other day there's a song that I just I think I finished it. We'll see in a few weeks when I come back to it. But I was reading a Batman comic. I've been reading so many comics recently, so many comics. But there was a line, it was something like rot inside your head. And I was like, cool, thank you. You know, just write that down and like made that into a lyric. So yeah, you know, it's mainly from like these more serious, like, you know, dark themed films. But recently, comic books, even books, great, you know, great little, just a little push if there's nothing, you know, if there's nothing new coming, then maybe it just gives you like a turn of phrase or a word that you wouldn't otherwise come across in like a day-to-day setting, and then it could set off, you know, it could set off the domino effect, and then you can think of other things that relate to that.
Yeah. So would you say you're like a comic book collector?
I don't know if I'm a collector yet, but I did just the other day. There's this like comic from 1995, and when I, you know, because I'm already quoting the year this comic came out, maybe you would have to say that I'm a collector now. But there's a crossover with Spider-Man and Batman, and I found it very difficult to find. I was trying to bid for them on eBay, and then, you know, the thing happened when I was the winning bid, the timer went down, I didn't get it. I was like, oh my God. So I drove like an hour to meet this guy who had this comic, and I picked it up. So we're getting dangerously close to the collector's, you know, title. We're
Yeah.
getting,
I mean, if you're driving to meet complete strangers to get comics,
yeah.
you're
And
kind of becoming a collector.
I had a delivery today, and it was this bundle of comics, and this is like, so now I have two of the exact same comic and also another version of the exact same comic with a different like front cover. So I have three of the same comic. I'll get rid of one because it's the same. But yeah, so we're getting there. We're getting there. And, you know, in this time next year, maybe I will be a collector. But right now, I'm just reading. We'll see. We'll see how far it goes.
I've very recently found myself trying to find all of the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger comic books. And
Nice.
there's some of them are old, like there were a couple like random offshoots
Yeah.
in the 90s, early 2000s, but now like Boom Comics is putting out so many different, I guess you could call them universes,
Mm,
all on the same series. So I just picked up not long ago the Power Rangers versus Godzilla. That was interesting.
nice.
Uh, yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't collect comic books. Sorry.
it's
I
honestly
collect other things, just not comic books.
yeah, collecting things is a very slippery slope, but
Oh,
it's cheaper than collecting guitars if you know,
it's
if
true.
it's
Guitars are expensive. I work at a thrift store and someone donated a guitar just yesterday and I looked it up and it was like sold for like $950. And it was an acoustic guitar. And I'm like, how much do I price this for?
yeah. Yeah,
Because
I
it's
mean,
sold at that high. It's
it's
crazy.
it it's I yeah, I was talking to someone a while back about guitar prices, and they actually said that, you know, if you put it into perspective, like in the world of instruments, guitars are actually pretty cheap, because I mean they're not, because, you know, $3,000 is still $3,000. But, you know, a good violin, or yeah, a good violin, you know, it could be 20 or 30 or 40. You know, guitar strings You can get a pack for $7, $8, but a set of violin strings, are 100 or 120.
Oh yeah.
So
Orchestra instruments, I believe, are very expensive.
yeah. So yeah, maybe we're one of the lucky ones, but they're still, everything's still crazy.
That might be something we could ask Chris if we ever get like Sean Mackin from Yellow Card on. Be like, how expensive are your violins?
I know he
Yeah.
said he used to have trouble finding, like, if something broke on it, it was
Mm.
extremely hard to find a replacement electric violin
Well,
short
yeah,
notice.
electric was definitely got to be way more expensive than a regular violin.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. Yeah, because like there's people say stuff like some guitarists will use just like the most basic common bits of gear when they go on tour, so that if it does break, they can walk into any music shop and the likelihood of them having that exact thing to replace whatever's broken is just higher. I know that Steve Vai says he does that. I don't know if he still does now, but he used to for sure.
So we're always looking for music suggestions. So who has been on your personal playlist lately and and who we should check out?
Um, let me see who I have been listening to.
I was gonna say anytime we ask this question, people are like, let me pull up my Spotify playlist.
Who's
So
on yours, Jess?
there there's there's two that come to mind for sure. I mean, I'm on my second listen through the Eminem album, the new one, and I think it's cool. You know, it's got some good songs on there. But the artist that has impressed me the most lately is this band called Pale Dusk. They're a Japanese. They are a rock band. Yeah, rock band. I don't know. It's like rock, but very broad. Like, if you listen to Pale Dusk and then listen to the new or latest Bring Me the Horizon album, you'll be like, oh my God, like I know where the direction came from, and the I don't know, I guess the biggest compliment I can give them is, everybody seems to be like veering into like the genre bending um label, like From Ashes to New, people are saying that they're genre bending, and like, I mean, even Bring Me the Horizon, all that stuff. But like these guys are on a different level in that sense. Like some of this stuff is like, it's like it's really good. So Pale Dusk for sure. If you haven't heard them, definitely check them out.
I have
Um,
not. We will
you
definitely check them out, right, Chris?
They have
Yeah.
there's an EP. I think the latest thing they put out was a single, but also an EP before, and I listened to the EP before, and again, it was a similar kind of thing. I listened to the first song, and I was like, what is this?" And then by the end of it, I was just like mind blown. I was like, "Whoa!" Like it was really good. Um, but yeah, who else aside from that? I I think. Yeah, I think those are the main ones that come to mind, really. I've not too recently, but I like NF, the rapper. I think he's very talented. But then, other stuff like Mammoth, Mammoth, Wolf Van Halen, mm, really, really good. Yeah, if I like had to choose like a different type of music to do, that would be it. 100%. I just think it's cool. So yeah, those three or four, or whatever. But yeah, Pale Dusk for sure. Check out Pale Dusk.
Definitely.
Any new ones on yours, Jess?
I listen to everyone we're interviewing. I mean, that's what would come up if I looked at my history. I'm like, I gotta listen to these people, right? I can't just go in blind.
Yeah.
I mean, I could, but that
He's-
wouldn't be any fun because what, I wouldn't know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
What about you, Chris?
Oh, mine's all over the place. I pulled it up. I just made the playlist for Sad Summer. So a bunch of those are on my super mix, but I haven't listened to that playlist yet. But Rivals, Daisy Grenade,
Oh,
and
you're looking
still,
at your super mix on YouTube.
yeah.
I mean, I got a lot of stuff on my super mix.
And then of course Churches and Charlotte Sands have been in rotation for like a good 6 months now.
I think a lot of times on my super mix, like Makari comes up. I'm really liking Makari. And for some reason now Hot Milk is like coming up on my super mix all the
Yes.
time.
I'm messing up your super mix.
I did. I just mentioned Hot Milk, and we did a. I had to make a list of top 5 like UK emo things for.
Oh yeah, here I'll blow your mind just a little bit. I got a Hot Milk tattoo.
But yeah, like every time I do some sort of like, even in the past as well, like whenever I would do production stuff for people, they'd always use Hot Milk as a reference. Like I probably can't think of what exact song, but yeah, they always send a Hot Milk. But I thought, if I may, I thought of a couple more artists in a different way. So did you say good or bad or both or just anything new?
Just anything that that's on your playlist lately.
Okay. Well,
We'll judge you if we think it's bad or good.
well,
Just kidding.
okay. So I was gonna throw some new songs in there that I'd heard that I formed opinions of, but I think the I think the I've heard the new like Kesha song a few times now, and personally I've heard it as many times as I think I will hear it, but again it's very, I mean, there's very Kesha, um there's that, I've heard that Espresso song by Sabrina, Carpenter, I think it is.
Mhm.
That's an interesting song, and that's pretty popular. But I really like that new Post Malone song. The the one, I actually have no idea what it's called, but the one where he has
I
some head and he
I don't
made a
know. I don't even know of a new Post Malone song because I don't listen to him.
it's a country song. I know everyone.
Oh, that's right. He's trying to be country. A lot of people are trying to switch over to country for some reason.
Yeah, I wonder how long that will last. But yeah, I suppose that's part of the, like the Beyonce
Yeah.
effect.
Because
Is it the
aren't they saying like MGK is trying to be country now too?
Yeah, so actually I had a funny encounter with MGK like a few weeks ago. But yeah, he did, because he did that he did like a coun- country cover. But yeah, I bumped into him at the Rainbow a few weeks ago, and he was like, we were kind of standing back to back to each other, like he was talking to someone, and like Mod's son, and I was talking to my girlfriend, and then we both kind of turned around at the same time, and I just looked at him, because I'm like 6'1", 6 foot, but he's like 6'4", so he's big guy, tall guy, and I just looked at him and I was like, this is very quick in my mind, and I'm just like, wow, you're really tall. And he's like, so are you? And I was like, nah, you're taller. And he's like, I'm wearing heels. And it was just like, it was less weird in real life than it sounds. But I was just like, wow, I'm glad that, he wasn't nasty or anything. Like, it just seemed
It was a
funny.
great icebreaker.
Yeah, it's like, so I've decided now that like the next time I bump into him, because I have faith that there will be a next time, I'm just gonna say the exact same thing, and he's gonna be like, wait, were you the guy? Like, just like try and confuse him each time. Like, who is this guy?
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
kind of funny. Yeah,
but
my
yeah,
husband's like 6'3",
well,
so
maybe,
sometimes you can use being tall as a conversation starter, right?
yeah. I mean, look, I knew he was tall, but I
I
didn't.
honestly didn't even know he was tall.
No, he's a tall guy. But yeah, that was good. That was after the Falling in Reverse event thing. I think Jelly Roll was there, Mod Sun was there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Have you listened to, okay, so someone else on my playlist that keeps coming up is Bill Murray.
I
No?
haven't.
No
I
Bill
have.
Murray?
I have.
He's got like some saxophone riffs in there.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool. But
I
you
find it very interesting.
write this. I'm gonna write. Search that
It's not
up.
spelled like Bill Murray the actor though. It's like Bilmuri, I believe,
Oh,
if
I
I
got
know
it.
how to spell. Chris, have you
Yeah.
listened to any Bill Murray?
No,
No,
Cool.
you should.
I've got it here. I've got it here saved.
I barely have time to listen to my own thoughts, Jess. So on social media, you frequently post, asking people for their deepest, darkest secrets. What are some of the best secrets you've gotten from doing those posts?
I mean, there's off the top of my head, I think someone admitted to like selling pictures of their feet without anyone knowing, which I thought was really funny, but then I thought, you've like broken the streak now, haven't you? Because you've just kind of told everyone. So yeah, but and then there was another similar one. It's usually like weird things like that. But yeah, I've been trying to I would like to do that in person. Like how people go up to people on the street and with the microphone and go
Hmm.
like, hey, like whatever, and they're like, what's a secret? Well, like what's something that no one knows about you or something like that. I would like to do that, but
You
yeah,
should. You
it's
should.
just
You should be like, hey, I'm telling secrets.
yeah,
What is your deepest, darkest secret?
yeah.
Like ask them
I
secrets on the street.
I'll
Street
have to
secrets.
go and either do it at like a show or literally outside Hot Topic because we need to find the people who would I think it should be a fair exchange. Like, you give us this quote or secret or whatever, and then in return we'll tell you which, like, what the songs are called, and you can have a listen and hopefully find some joy in, the music. I think it's probably the best I can do right now.
It could be some great social media though, if you just went around asking random people in LA.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people that have done that for like other variations of the same idea, like, those videos do well. So yeah,
Got to make it a niche.
yeah, yeah.
So, if your music could summon a mythical creature, what would it be and why?
Um, for some reason, the only two mythical creatures I can think of right now is a cyclops and a centaur. What is a centaur? Is that the bull thing? Let's go.
Is it a
Let's.
centaur or is that someone that's like half man, half horse?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. Let's go with a cyclops, just because I haven't heard that word in a while. It just came. Let's go with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that why you're choosing it? Because you just haven't heard of one in a while?
Because I can only think of two, and out of the two, the cyclops is, you know, I don't know, it's just the one that I'm gravitating towards right now.
Some new
And
album art.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool album art. I tried to for the Bliss is Oblivion album art, because that one's a picture of, well, it's a picture of me without a mouth, the single version. And originally I tried to make it into like a thing with three eyes by having another eye on my forehead, but I couldn't get it to look good. So I just, got rid of my mouth as well.
and finally, the question everyone wants to know the answer to: what is your favorite dinosaur?
Man, do you know, I used to love the I think it's literally called like this film, this animated Disney film. I think it's called Dinosaur.
Mhm.
I can't remember which year it came out. Must have been between 1998 and 2000 or 2001. But I used to have that on VHS, and that used to be my favorite film. And I think I must have watched it so many times that, you know, it wore the tape out. Whatever, you know, was it species, whatever species dinosaur or whatever is the main dinosaur character that looks after the monkeys, that one.
Chris is
And
Googling it, I can tell.
if
Yeah, and it did come out in 2000. I'm trying to find the main.
even if that's a if even that's a, you know, real, you know, is it, it's not a breed, species of dinosaur.
I was actually
Uh,
talking to my friend Heather about dinosaurs again because she's like super dinosaurs, Chris, and your dinosaur is actually part of a species. There's different ones, variations of it.
Oh
the
wow.
ankylosaur.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
I'm just making sure. It's not just one dinosaur, it's a bunch of different ones.
I have this little like running joke with my girlfriend where I say that she's obsessed with dinosaurs when, like, you know, she's not. But I bought, like, you know, you can get these, like, you know, like the little toy plastic soldiers, like the green, you know, things from, like, you know, you see them in Toy Story and
Yeah,
stuff. Well, I bought something like that, but dinosaurs, and I like hide them around the apartment. Just like, you know, it just in no for no rhyme or reason, just like hide them around. And I
they're
think
little
that,
dinosaur Easter eggs.
yeah, they're just like scattered around everywhere. You know, no reason, but yeah. So I do like dinosaurs.
That sounds nicer than what we did to my parents. We ordered, we ordered. They were like, I don't know, 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter yellow rubber ducks, but they were definitely they were some sort of acrylic, and 200 of them. And my parents were on vacation, and
Oh my
we hid
God.
them all over their house. And so my parents get home. I know they're coming home, and she calls me maybe 30 minutes after getting home. She's like, "Why did you do this?" I think it took them a few weeks to find all 200, but
I might have to borrow that idea.
Just rubber ducks.
Just dinosaurs.
Oh,
200.
200 of them.
Oh yeah. 1,000.
Were you going to say
Oh.
something else before, Chris, about the dinosaur movie? Did you find it?
no, I can't really find without rewatching the movie because I don't really remember names, but I think the one you're referencing is an iguanodon.
Cool. Let's go with that. You know, let's go. Uh, they they have
Well,
long
let's
they
look it
have
up on my phone.
tails.
Iguanodon.
It looks like a giant iguana.
Oh. Hmm.
Iguana. Wait, I'm
I could
looking.
be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? Similar enough. If that's the you
What?
know,
That, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And actually the dinosaur from the film comes up too, this guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
So
probably based off of one.
yeah, we'll go with
Maybe
that
I'll
guy.
ask my friend Heather because she's super dinosaur crazy. Like, she's got a life-size velociraptor in her bedroom, so
That
and she's
sounds a
got
little,
fossils and other things. Her whole bedroom's dinosaur themed, so she probably would know what that dinosaur is in that movie.
well, yeah, that's, that's a
I
nice
can
fact.
find out for sure and let you know.
Great. Please do.
Well, that was our last question. Did you have anything else you'd like to add or say to anyone watching or listening?
Um, I the only thing that I would want to say, which I've been trying to stop myself. Actually, first of all, thank you very much for having me. Both of you guys, this has been really fun. I'm really, I'm happy to hear that, you both listened to the album and liked it, and we've come to a consensus of what our favorite song is or what the favorites are. I'm happy with how it's doing. It's streaming pretty well. You know, the music videos are doing really well, so it really makes me feel like, you know, the effort was, you know, paid off and everything. I will tell a secret, you know, seeing as we do the ritual. So I'll do a little ritual now. I've started writing the next batch of songs, which is probably going to be telling secrets too. I'm about 5 or 6 songs in. There's one song on there that I think is, whenever it comes out, it honestly might have the biggest chorus of which next year or the year after. Genuinely, it's, you know, I'm really excited about that one. And then there's another song that, you know, has a little bit of everything that I'm also very excited for. And yeah, just excited to keep going and see what happens in the future with those things. So yeah.